Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to announce that the moment you've been waiting for is finally here. Well, kind of, sorta, it's something. There's a development in something that we've all been waiting for. In regards to Odell Beckham Jr., one of the most coveted free agents of the offseason. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. When Aaron Rodgers finally gets traded, I'm going to be giving away a decent amount of money to the Twitter followers that retweet the tweet in front of you. And now that we got all of that out of the way, break! Some of the green slips you guys have been sending me is crazy, like $1,250 off of a $250 slip, or $1,500 off of a $150 power play. We've been making bank off of our basketball picks, bro. March Madness was a huge success, and believe me, we're about to ramp it up for the NBA playoffs. All you have to do is download Prize Picks, use my promo code microphone, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100 instantly. After that, just follow me on Instagram. I post all of my picks onto my Instagram story for free, and we can start making money off of these picks together. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the precipice of seeing one of the most melodramatic quarterback and wide receiver duos in NFL history. As a guy that does NFL content for a living, I'm here for it, but it's not as simple as you think, as typically anything that involves Aaron Rodgers and Odell Beckham Jr. isn't as simple as you think. On top of it, there's a lot of things about this scenario that doesn't make a lot of sense. So allow me to take you for a journey and tell you what is going on. We have multiple credible sources informing you of what's happening, and to really understand what's going on, we have to go all the way back to Odell Beckham Jr.'s final game, in which he was able to win a Super Bowl with the Los Angeles Rams, while also unfortunately tearing his ACL. Following this, Odell Beckham Jr. officially became a free agent. However, since he tore his ACL once again on quite literally the last game of the season, it meant that there was a good chance that OBJ wasn't going to be able to play in the season following. This is unless if he had like some sort of superhuman recovery speed, which with respect to OBJ is fairly unlikely considering how he's in his 30s now, or if some team was willing to take the chance on Odell Beckham Jr., who was 29 at the time, and was willing to pay him to allow him to recover, which wasn't something that OBJ was too interested in himself, because he wanted to have the ability to choose a team that had momentum throughout the season and hopefully join that team and help them win a Super Bowl. And towards the middle of the season, the circus began. It started with the New York Giants. Odell Beckham Jr. stated that he would want to be a member of the New York Giants, saying there's a belief that Odell Beckham Jr. wants to be a Giant as he wants to win in a big market, and the New York City area can be a home for his family, per Jordan Renan. Some foreshadowing here for you, am I right? And he did flirt with the New York Giants. It made a lot of sense at the time. The wide receiver room was relatively thin considering all the injuries that the New York Giants had to Sterling Shepard. They traded Kadarius Toney in the middle of the season, and they had the corpse of Kenny Golladay being trotted out there, who wasn't effective at all whatsoever. But it wasn't only the New York Giants that Odell Beckham Jr. would flirt with. He would flirt with the Buffalo Bills, who would take him to a multi-course dinner, and was courted by Von Miller, before we would get quite possibly one of the most overly dramatized free agent courting periods that I've ever seen between a team and another player. The Dallas Cowboys got involved, and you know the Dallas Cowboys have to blow everything out of proportion. I mean, Jerry Jones really had fun with this one. Do you remember the memes? Like, look at this video. that wasn't it. There was a whole spectacle being made out of this. In the middle of the season, the Dallas Cowboys were trying their best to dethrone the Philadelphia Eagles as the top team in the NFC East. At the same exact time, stuff like this was going on, like Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs and Des Bryant, for some reason, who has not been a member of the Dallas Cowboys for over 5 years, was seen with Odell Beckham Jr. and taking him to a Dallas Mavericks game. They had Odell Beckham Jr. donning this Letterman jacket that had a Dallas Cowboys star on it. You knew Jerry Jones loved that. If that wasn't enough for you, how about the entire Dallas Mavericks arena chanting for Odell Beckham Jr. to join their team? Check this out.
Doncic was okay, but he is a competitor. Wants to stay in the game.
OBJ.
Right now, the crowd is
OBJ. 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 That's what they're yelling, Grant.
That's what that chant is for.
And if that wasn't enough, how about the Dallas Mavericks star player Luka Doncic? And this might be the last time this man's actually smiled, if you're wondering why. Well, we've been covering that quite extensively on my basketball channel, The Flight Mike. But even Luka Doncic spoke about Odell Beckham Jr.
Did you get a chance to help recruit Odell Beckham Jr. as the Cowboys?
I tried. After the game, I saw him, so hopefully I can't say nothing, but go Cowboys.
Now, this entire circus was considered to be very much worth it because the Cowboys were dearly missing Amari Cooper, and I myself will admit that. Dak Prescott is more than capable as a quarterback so long as he has weapons. He's not necessarily the type of player that could elevate below average or average wide receivers to help them play even better. If you give him like 2 or 3 weapons, then you might see some good results in the postseason, and that's a maybe at that. And the Cowboys did have weapons. Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb. Tony Pollard would go down in the divisional round, and that kind of is what I'm basing my argument around, because at that point he only had CeeDee Lamb and it didn't really work out for them in the playoffs. But the logic being, if you get Odell Beckham Jr. and you combine him with CeeDee Lamb and then you have Tony Pollard in the backfield, the Cowboys combine that with the defense that they currently have, they could potentially be a contender. But there's only one problem. Odell Beckham Jr. told Micah Parsons after this gigantic circus that he would be ready in 5 weeks. Yeah, so this entire stunt was just done for publicity, huh? None of us saw that coming. The Dallas Cowboys and Odell Beckham Jr. liking to be in the media. What? No way. I don't believe that. Eventually, it got to a very bizarre point, and honestly, this was a very comical point for me. At a particular point, Odell Beckham Jr. said this.
Have you made the decision up in your own head of where you're going? And are you ready?
I haven't made the decision, and for me, it's like I would like to be in a stable environment, get up 6 a.m., leave at 6 p.m. for 4 weeks, and then let's talk about it. I've played football for a long time. Like I'm not saying that I couldn't step in and play regular season, but I don't see the point. I really don't. Like I would rather play when that pressure's on. I would rather play when the lights is on. Like I went through the whole playoffs, and after having my first bad playoff experience, like all I was ready for was to clear that off my name.
Could you understand how hilarious this is? It went from I want to sign with the team in the middle of the season and hopefully help them win a Super Bowl to we don't need me to play in the regular season. Just sign me and I'll come and make my debut in the playoffs and everything will be great. I'll just play those 3 games. We'll easily win a Lombardi together and we could just move on. Truth is, Odell Beckham Jr. either liked the attention or wanted to get paid for rehabilitation by a team that looked very close to contention. At the end of the day, it didn't work out. And now we're in the situation we are in currently. There's still a lot of teams that are interested in OBJ, including the Dallas Cowboys before they traded for Brandon Cooks. But unfortunately for Odell Beckham Jr., the wide receiver market isn't nearly as inflated this offseason as it was last offseason when Devontae Adams was getting traded and getting paid a 5-year, $140 million contract, and then Tyreek Hill got traded and got paid $30 million annually. So as a result, Odell Beckham Jr. has had some rumors about him in terms of what team he's willing to sign with, but also in terms of what he's looking for in a contract. At first, there was a rumor suggesting that OBJ wanted $15 to $20 million a year annually. Now, this is according to Rich Cimini, who is a New York Jets writer. So according to him, Odell Beckham Jr. is indeed looking for 15 a year. Odell previously looked for 20 million a year, according to reports. Now, funny enough, Odell would actually respond to this saying, April Fool's was yesterday, no? I'd be so confused where all these reports and numbers are coming from, per source. And Dove Kleiman would respond to him saying, I take it you deny ESPN's report then. But let's put that aside for a second and let's just assume Odell Beckham Jr. just wants to win. Well, Pat McAfee reported that the Baltimore Ravens made an offer a few days ago after working out OBJ.
Okay, so Schefter says that the Ravens and Odell Beckham Jr., even without Lamar Jackson's situation being handled, have met, talked, and they have made him an offer.
But is Odell Beckham Jr. really a good fit in Baltimore? There's so much uncertainty there. A guy that has been so thorough about his next team, I don't think is very likely to go to Baltimore next. I mean, for one, there's obviously the question about what the Baltimore Ravens offense is going to look like. Is Lamar Jackson even returning? What is the new offensive coordinator going to do in order to make the most out of that offense? And for the most part, it seems like the Ravens are relatively thin at the wide receiver position. They have one of the best tight ends in the game, and when their running backs are healthy, they're terrifying as well. But the wide receiver position definitely looks a little thin, and you quite literally had Hollywood Brown demanding the trade so he could go to a more pass-friendly offense. Now, the new offensive coordinator could potentially make it a more pass-happy offense, but we don't know yet, so there's a lot of uncertainty there. So then we found out that Odell Beckham Jr. is flying to meet with the New York Jets on Saturday, and this is coming to us from Josina Anderson. According to Josina Anderson, this is the latest news we have on Odell Beckham Jr. I'm told that free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. is planning to fly into the New York area Sunday to meet with the Jets on Monday, per him. So this is really interesting because the New York Jets have been making so many moves in regards to their wide receiver position. I mean, so far they signed Allen Lazard, they traded Elijah Moore, they currently have Denzel Mims, they cut Braxton Berrios, they signed Mecole Hardman, they of course have Garrett Wilson, who is the recent offensive rookie of the year. They still have Corey Davis, who is a potential cap casualty. We're not necessarily sure yet. And now you're potentially discussing bringing in Odell Beckham Jr. So how's that going to look like? Well, that's a huge reason why the Jets are bringing him in. According to Ian Rappaport, this is Odell Beckham Jr.'s second meeting with the New York Jets, and he is to receive a physical on Monday, which is kind of huge considering the fact that the main reason OBJ wasn't able to sign in the middle of the season was he hasn't fully recovered yet. Now, Connor Hughes backpacks on what Josina Anderson says, saying that the plan is for Odell Beckham Jr. to visit the Jets this week. It will also give Beckham an additional chance to meet with the staff. Important for the Jets, they will give him a physical, and a major step in getting this done. As I've said, the New York Jets are front runners in this situation. I mean, as a matter of fact, so much so that Zach Rosenblatt believes that the Jets firmly believe that they're going to get Odell Beckham Jr. and perhaps even soon if the visit goes well. So if that's the case, what is this meeting about to begin with? Well, according to Ian Rappaport, this meeting is going to be multifaceted. It will not only include a physical, but also a thorough discussion of what to expect in an Aaron Rodgers-led offense with a deep wide receiver room. How will it all fit together is a big point of discussion. I gotta admit, bringing in Odell Beckham Jr. to play with Aaron Rodgers sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, I'm not even a fan of the New York Jets, and just as a football fan, seeing Aaron Rodgers and Odell Beckham Jr. should be a lot of fun for football fans to watch. And it's not just OBJ, it's going to be OBJ, Garrett Wilson, Mecole Hardman is the ideal player for jet sweeps and whatnot, although of course he could be more than that. I don't necessarily know how Corey Davis or Denzel Mims are going to do in that offense, but Mekhi Becton has also been seen losing a ton of weight. Their defense looks pretty awesome with Sauce Gardner. They have Breece Hall and Michael Carter, who are really solid running backs, and there's also familiarity in the form of Allen Lazard. Now, I know I might be getting a little carried away, so it's important to note that a deal is not done yet between Odell Beckham Jr. and the New York Jets. This, though, is a major step in doing so. They will give him a physical per sources, as I said, which is key. Jets also want him to spend quality time with staff and get further acclimated, I'm told. Then it's about agreeing to the money. And it appears as though this entire meeting was one gigantic smokescreen, as I actually brought you guys an update earlier today, and I was convinced that this was OBJ's decision. It made a lot of sense to me. I felt like he was going to return to the New York Jets to New York only as a member of the Jets. And this was just a formality. Meeting with the New York Jets was a formality to get a deal done. And I admit, I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. And I can't even begin to express how frustrated I was when I discovered that I was incorrect and provided you guys with the wrong analysis. So for that, I apologize. But if you're a Ravens fan, my frustration should be something that you are very overjoyed about. Because according to Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, Odell Beckham Jr. officially made his decision. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Odell Beckham Jr. has officially decided to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, you can only imagine how big of a surprise this was to me because OBJ was supposed to meet with the Jets on Monday, but perhaps this was a leverage play. So you might be wondering what the terms of this deal are. Well, the Ravens are giving Odell Beckham Jr. a 1-year deal worth up to $18 million. This is very significant because on one hand, you're giving Odell Beckham Jr. a prove-it deal that is in the ballpark of the amount of money he wanted, which also gives OBJ an opportunity to bet on himself and maybe get himself a longer contract next year with another team or the Ravens. But at the same time, Odell Beckham Jr., without a doubt, is going to be Lamar Jackson's best wide receiver of his career. So this is significant for both the Baltimore Ravens, Odell Beckham Jr., and Lamar Jackson. If I had to grade this deal, believe it or not, I'm actually giving the Baltimore Ravens an A+ here. Yes, it is a lot of money for 1 year for a wide receiver that's 30 years old, but it's not like you're committing to him for 3 or 4 years. If it doesn't work out, you can move on from him. If he ends up underplaying his value, then you could potentially sign him for less next year. This is a great opportunity for the Ravens to truly decide and figure out what OBJ's worth is. Now, Odell actually announced on his Instagram that he was going to the Baltimore Ravens by doing a collaborative post with his son's Instagram by posting his son on his Instagram. Now, I think this is adorable. I think this is pretty cool because this is going to answer a lot about Lamar Jackson. It's also going to give the Ravens a brand new dimension to their offense. We might even see Odell Beckham Jr. return to the player that he once was on the New York Giants, or we will have a clear, definitive answer on the type of player he is. I give an A+ for OBJ and props for betting on yourself. I give an A+ to the Ravens, and I'm excited to see what Lamar Jackson could do with OBJ on the roster. Let me know what you guys think about this move in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.